Oh, yeah, Chris Phillips is here, former head of National Counter-Terrorism at the Security Office. Chris, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Good to talk to you. Nice to see you. Children as young as 10, it says here, are getting hooked on a pick and mix of horror online, placing them on a conveyor belt to terrorism. Tell us what the story is.
Well, the story is a DAC who's now in charge of counter-terrorism stuff. I think she's just reiterating really what the head of MI5 said about a month ago, I think it was. And the fact that young people are looking at horrible things, really horrible things online and becoming extreme or have extreme views. And, of course, some of those are likely to go on to do bad things. Well, we knew that anyway.
Yeah.
What was interesting, I think she said, was 2 late-stage attacks had been prevented. And I think it is a good time sometimes close to Christmas just to remind people, there is still a problem out there and, we need to be alert and make sure that we're watching out for people that are acting in a bad way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, are you one of those people that would favour a sort of at least a look at whether to take phones off under 16-year-olds, as they're doing in Australia, and not allow them access to the internet, at least in that method?
Yeah, I think we have got a situation now where there is so much good that comes out of the internet and mobile phones and everything that they can do with them. But the downside is enormous, and particularly for younger people, at least find some way of limiting what they can do on them.
Yeah.
I mean, these phones these days, as we know, are creating havoc, particularly in our schools, I would suggest, but across society, for young people getting affected by really bad stuff on them.
Yeah, right. I mean, obviously, I'm going to sound like some naive old git here, but I mean, I've got a phone. When I look at it and I do the things that I do on it, and I send emails and I look at Twitter and I post things on Facebook and all of that, I don't see any of this horrific stuff. Do you have to go and look for it? And if you start looking for it, is that when you start getting more of it?
Well, young people always push the boundaries, and that's one of the things, isn't it? There'll be one of the people in class. I mean, we all used to do it at school, but it was slightly more innocent. When we were doing things at school, you would push the boundaries, and I know I did, as did all my school chums. But there are people on there that are deliberately targeting young people in order to make them do things. And we've seen murders, we've seen knives and stabbings. These things are just multiplied, and you can watch this all day long without any difficulty at all.
Yeah. I mean, that is the problem. Once you get into these loops, they just keep kind of reproducing, don't they?
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I've seen certainly now, for example, with X, what it does now, which it didn't used to do, is if you're watching a video, so I'll say go and watch a clip of somebody doing something or other, whether it's a politician or whatever, and then suddenly when that finishes, instead of it just finishing or going back to the beginning, it plays the next clip. And the next clip is something that you didn't know you were actually going to look at. So presumably somebody's choosing that for you, and it's it's something on TikTok, or then that one finishes and it takes you somewhere else. And young people particularly, I think, and I've seen it with my own kids, it's kind of mesmerising, isn't it? They just kind of keep staring at the next clip to see what it's going to be. It
is, and it's an algorithm that points you in the direction of stuff. And as you say, it does become almost hypnotic, and listen, most people won't be massively affected by these things, but there are a significant number that are. And what she's saying here, the DAC, is that, young kids, probably younger than 10, are getting access to this unregulated. Their parents aren't doing anything about it. So what do we want to do as a society? I think we have to think about how we stop young people from being influenced like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what would you suggest? I mean, should there not be ways of kind of editing it or censoring it in some way actually on the device?
Yeah, there should be. And actually, there's something to be said for kids going back to non-computer phones, just back to pretty standard phones.
Just like a brick phone.
You need to do. Yeah, almost, but things have moved forward. You can make these phones that don't have access to everything that because now you've got a computer, you've got a fully fledged computer in your pocket.
Right.
You don't have to have that in order to get through life.
Well, I was always struck, and this was years ago, before they were even as advanced as they are now, when they first brought an iPhone out, and I was told by some computer geek, basically the iPhone that you've got in your hand is now more sophisticated than the NASA machinery and computing that was used to send people to the moon.
Yeah, and not only is it more sophisticated and more powerful, but actually there are so many bad actors. I mean, having access to pretty much anyone in the world seems to be a great idea, but there are such a lot of very bad people that want to, you know, put murders and put knife-ins and stabbings and how to carry a knife and how to kill a cop or whatever you want on online,
Yeah.
and you know, even how to make a bomb. You know, do you want
Right.
your son or daughter of 10 or 12 learning how to make a bomb? And you can get that information very easily online and
Yeah.
in their pocket, in their bedroom.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I guess something will have to be done eventually. Chris, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Chris Phillips, former head of National Counter-Terrorism Security Office here in the UK.